Hey everyone, welcome to day 4 of the Starcraft 2 AI tournament. I am here with Laughing Games. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
And Ketrock, good to have you back.
Hey guys.
Yeah, so today we have got 4 more best of 3s for you coming up, and they will be. So from last week we had Zozo secure a spot in the round of 8. Um, Theo unfortunately got eliminated along with Terrain. And Ketrock dropped down into the 1 and 2 brackets, but with a good chance of getting out of that, I think. So the last 4 we have today are MicroMachine versus Caninana, ThomTest versus DominionDog, ThomTest versus SharpenedEdge, and of course the Battle of the Big Boys coming up at the end with -0 versus Eris. So that should be a fun one.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if either bot has something special planned for the other and whether they're revealing it on this update or not, or whether they're saving it for like the finals.
Yeah,
yeah,
was there an update pushed before these matches or no?
No, there
no.
wasn't. This
No,
is
right. So,
So we play
But if
the
I were Eris or -0 going into this tournament, I would be like, this is the bot I need to worry about. Maybe
yeah.
I should like
it's
try to
it's true, yeah,
solidify
they
my
could.
bot versus that guy.
I think yeah, it's going to be really interesting with those two because they were sort of trading wins back and forth, both updating their bots like right before this tournament started. So,
Yeah.
I yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
I could see them both being hyper focused on each other, and then Zozo coming in and cheesing them both to death or something along those lines.
I wouldn't put it past them. It will definitely happen somewhere. But no, I think like it would be sensible, and like Eris has a history of that kind of thing, of course. But yeah, it should be a fun one. But anyway, first up today, we have one sec. We have MicroMachine. Seed 4 for this, which is actually going back up for MicroMachine. It's been kind of like hovering around the kind of like 5-6 area, so it's done really well. 2018. Elo. A win versus Theo and a loss versus Cena so far. So good tournament for MicroMachine. And obviously fighting up against Caninana. Seeded 5. Had an upset loss, I think, would say, against ThomTest, and came through against 12 Poolbot. So anything you guys looking specific for in this matchup?
I think it's just incredible how good Micro Machine is despite not getting updates. But I think it is starting to show against Caninana a little bit because the bot author is quite active. And if you're gonna program your bot to take on a good Terran, Micro Machine's a good one to focus on. So I think there may have been some work done there
Yeah.
to be anti Micro Machine almost. So we'll see.
Yeah, I could tell right from the start when Caninana joined the scene that he was going to be one of those top end contenders, and if he stuck with it, like he didn't start a Zerg bot by like 12 pooling. He was like hyper focused on like the macro, the spreading creep, all the really important stuff to like win these solid games. And yeah, I guess my money's on him.
All right. Well, let's
Yeah,
get
it
to
has
it.
just got a lot better as time's gone on. So.
Mm-hmm.
Wait 1 second. I should probably share with you the screen because that
Yeah,
would be a good
I
idea.
can see it's
That
up on
would help.
screen, but we can't see it. So.
There we go. Right, guys. Okay,
All
going.
right, let's do it.
Okay,
All right, so
let's
spawning
go.
down in the bottom right, the multi-time champion of this tournament, more tournament victories by far than anyone else. It is MicroMachine. And spawning in the top left, we have the blue Zerg and the most recent ProBots champion. So, champion versus champion here. It's Caninana.
Did we get like win rates posted in chat by either of the bots? Because I know Micro Machine usually does that, so I'm curious about that.
Yeah, if the replay is from the point of view of MicroMachine, you might see it.
35%.
Okay, so that's a little up in the air, we'll say.
Yeah, it's definitely changed as time has gone on. Like a couple of years ago, it was like 80% Micro Machine or something. I can't quite remember the number off the top of my head, but as Caninana's got updates, it has gradually gotten better and better for Caninana. So
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible the MicroMachine even keeps high win rates versus other bots when it's been not updated for as long of a period of time as it's been.
Oh,
Like my bot's
yeah.
TVT is almost specifically coded to counter MicroMachine, and even I'm only like 55% win rate versus MicroMachine. It's like it could go either way. He's just such a solid bot. It's really hard to find holes in him.
Yeah, MicroMachine really is phenomenal. And yeah, we'll see how it does against Caninana. It really is just interesting how, like, it's not like a 100% win rate or a 0% win rate for MicroMachine. It still has back and forth games. Like, it has, like, you can't just easily solve MicroMachine if you're trying to program your bot against it, because it does have some variability. So,
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the history of MicroMachine, he was the number one bot, so he had all the basics down really well. And then every other bot author in tournaments was just trying to snipe him. So he just
yeah.
got years and years of practice of like getting sniped by some cheese and then filling that gap. And now he doesn't die to that cheese anymore. So he's like so cheese proof after being targeted for years. Makes him, you know, one of the more fun bots to watch versus humans as well, is because he always puts out a good game versus them.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, like if you've ever tried to catch one of MicroMachine's Reapers playing against it, it's a bit of an effort, that's for sure. And yeah, anyone watching, you can indeed play against these bots if you want to do that. So
yeah, I made some posts about can't remember what it was. I think it was like Xena's creep spread, how crazy it was on Reddit. That got some viewership, and
yeah,
a
I
bunch of
saw
people in
that.
chat were actually asking about how to play these bots. So there might have been a couple more downloads of our little launcher.
Reaper for
Speaking about the
MicroMachine.
Reaper that doesn't die.
MicroMachine did get a single drone there, which is significant, as Caninana is a bit of a Zerg that doesn't drone up as quick as other Zerg bots does, so it's a bigger hit to its economy than probably against a bot like Eris or someone.
It's kind of interesting. In the API, we can actually see what direction every unit is facing. And then obviously we know the unit speeds. So when he throws out grenades, you can tell the MicroMachine's doing, broke out his grade 10 geometry class and is
Oh wow, that's
doing
phenomenal.
some calculations to see, okay, if I throw the grenade here, this is probably where the unit will be.
Yeah. And
based on which way it's facing.
Is there
how it's
anything in the
facing.
API as far as seeing where a grenade is to try and dodge those, or?
Yep, that does actually show up. We don't see anything about like projectiles, like from like normal attacks. Like we don't know when a stalker shoots, for instance. But
Yeah.
a grenade is actually like a unit in the game.
Okay, cool.
So it's interesting. You kind of learn a little bit about how the game works through the API as well. Like when a unit has parasitic bomb on it and then it dies, the parasitic bomb still sits in that location, right? Well, within the game, it actually creates a ghost unit and then applies the parasitic bomb to that ghost unit there. So technically, there's actually a parasitic bomb unit hanging out in that location.
That's very cool. We do have Banshees on the way for MicroMachine. Cloak has been researched. Caninana sees that. Where is that Banshee at the minute? Okay. At the third. The Queens all burrow as there's no detection for Caninana, which is one of the utilities of burrow as a bot author, although it can have some unintended consequences in which you actually lose more resources to a Banshee than units you would lose. As all these drones are burrowed right now, so that is a lot of lost mining time, even though the Banshee's not getting kills. But we do have an Overseer on the way, so that will eventually be shut down. But that is some nice damage getting done by the Banshee at MicroMachine.
Yeah, that is one of those hard things to calculate as a human. It's like, okay, if there's a Reaper in your mineral line, do you want to burrow all your drones? That seems like overkill, right? But at the same time, you don't want to lose a drone. So it's
true.
all those tough calculations. Let's see if he hides in the corner or he tries to escape. Oh, he's actually hiding in the corner. That's nice. I love his Banshee micro as well.
Yeah, they're just all individually alive, and so far keeping the pressure on Caninana. Gonna start shooting that extractor. But a queen will come in to push that away.
Yeah, but nice damage nonetheless. The fact that he hasn't lost either Banshee means like all this damage is like just basically bonus, you know, because eventually his Banshees will probably make it back home and join his regular army. But for now, just denying some mining, you know, forcing out some overseers.
Yeah, it can definitely pull the attention of Caninana back a little bit. It's got 2 queens sitting in the corner trying to chase them down. Impressive programming by Caninana to have the queens stay on top of those Banshees for the most part.
Yeah. Although I will say MicroMachine was a little bit slow on the expansion this game. He built the command center somewhat early, but he built in his main base, so he had to distance mine for a while. Still no third base out yet, and we got Caninana starting to saturate his 4th, so that's a big deal. Obviously, MicroMachine basically gaining 2 SCVs through his bunker mining.
Yes.
Positive mine with 2 less than normal.
That's one of the little things, like when you think about, okay, why does this bot win some games and lose some games? It can be little things, just like the placement of the refineries, whether MicroMachine can speed mine or not. With the gas.
I mean, if the main base and natural base both have that double gas setup, then he gets a nice advantage in the early game. You know, when every worker counts so much at the start of the game and he gets to like save 2 on both of his main and natural base, that's a big deal economically.
Okay, MicroMachine is looking to move out against Caninana. Army supplies are fairly even right now. The Zerg has slings and queens to defend, it would seem, but MicroMachine is stepping on to creep. Those Banshees, are they still in the corners there hanging out, or?
Interesting how he is like keeping his Marines all spread out like that. I didn't even know he had that coded into his bot. You make Bailing's pretty useless against his Marine push.
Spreading out against Lings isn't necessarily the best, though, as all those Marines do get surrounded and killed. So not the best assault by MicroMachine. The Terran bot does have a 3rd building on location now, but it is a little bit concerning because Caninana's late game is quite superior to that of MicroMachine, it's safe to say. There's just been a lot of work put into it by the bot author. So the longer the game goes on, it does become a little bit concerning for MicroMachine.
A lot of Banshees out for MicroMachine, actually. I see 4 of them here.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. One of them almost goes down, does take damage, and it looks like it tries to head on home to be repaired. It might get shot down. Yes, it does.
And MicroMachine is like, he's not as afraid with his Banshees as like, say, my bots. So just because there's a queen and an overseer doesn't mean he won't attack. He'll see like, oh, if it's 1 queen against my 3 Banshees, I'll still take that fight.
Yeah.
However, he hasn't gotten that opportunity yet, as there's so many queens here.
Yeah, Caninana's queens are doing a great job staying on top of these Banshees. Some of them do decide to try and skirt past that, and that's Hyperflight Rotor's done on them, so now they're going to be extra zoomy, and so those queens will have a hard time staying on top of them. Caninana does have a Spire on the way, though, so it will eventually get Corruptors out as anti-air. And MicroMachine's production tab is just looking like the absolute I don't know what to call it, but it's just, there's so much on its production tab. It makes such a interesting composition when it plays, like getting like a Noah's Ark of units almost, like 1 or 2 of everything.
I've actually been keeping an eye on his production tab, and only right now does he start his first Raven, which I like to see from MicroMachine, because in a major engagement, I don't see like how he's going to deal with the Cloaked Roach or with the Burrowed Roach micro. Now with the Raven being added to his army, that's going to be a big difference.
Raven definitely can help. I think MicroMachines can scan burrowed units. I'm not 100% sure about that.
He does, but it only helps a little bit, you know, when you got burrow movements with the roaches. You know, they'll burrow and they'll move out of the scan range while burrowed. Or even unburrow, run out of the scan range and then burrow again.
MicroMachine, is that blue flame on the Hellions? It is. So that's actually going to do quite well against all these Lings, although Caninana is just attacking on in here. The tank takes damage and then goes down, so Caninana is having quite a nice attack on MicroMachine's side of the map. Army supplies aren't too far apart right now, but the Terran just doesn't seem to have enough units to easily defend this, although Banshees are in the skies to help push these Roaches and Lings away.
Yeah, that is a hold. one of the advantages of being so aggressive with the Banshees is that MicroMachine had a really good eye on what the composition was for Caninana. And I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure those Blue Flame Hellions were a response to seeing so many Lings out on the
yeah,
field.
that really is something that is quite cool. That MicroMachine does have that adaptability to change its composition based on what its opponent seems like. Sometimes if you watch the spot, you're like, it does just seem to be making just like random units almost. But no, there is logic to what it decides to pick. Caninana also did make a lot of Lings, which is something that it didn't necessarily used to do. I think it's Caninana's bot author may have shifted their defense to use Lings a little bit more than Roaches. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Negative Zero is probably my favorite bot though for unit counters. He has like all these tables set up of like what counters what, and based on his tech, he'll build certain things.
Okay, Banshee's still flying around. Bot supply, it's actually neck and neck, which is a good thing for Caninana, I'll say, because it is getting out those infestors. It's the bot that's probably got the best infestor usage programmed into it. Those battle cruisers for MicroMachine are in a lot of trouble, probably. It will most likely just be neural parasited and teleported onto a bunch of spore crawlers eventually.
Yeah, Caninana loves messing with battle cruisers, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think if I could see MicroMachine updated, for one thing, it would be to have a bit more depth as far as like trying to counter the infestors with the battle cruisers or something, because it does consistently lose them to bots like Caninana.
That was a really important defense there for MicroMachine. Keeping both of his tanks alive allows him to maintain the 5th base. I think if he holds his 5th, his economy is actually going to be to deal with. Oh no.
MicroMachine does sometimes crash these days.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That sucks.
Oh
I think
god.
MicroMachine was looking good there because if he gets the large economy, like especially in TVZ, he's a lot of trouble to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
MicroMachine does seem to sometimes do too many actions. Like if you get your APM above say 60,000, you're really threatening to like screw up the engine. Let's say at that point.
Yeah.
It doesn't usually cause you to crash, but it will cause like your units to do random actions and skip actions, and your bot just gets really dumb.
It very much
I completely
depends.
forgot about that.
Yeah. Like I think kind of like it depends what actions they are, and you can get up a little bit higher, but generally it tends to start skipping actions, and then like obviously if your bot is relying on those actions to take place, then that's a problem, and can cause a crash. So yeah, it's very very nasty to see MicroMachine crash because it has been a very stable bot. But,
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that happening. I did go to cast some MicroMachine versus Caninana games a while back, and I actually I think I cast like two 20-minute games, and they both ended with crashes. So I eventually had to start pre-screening the replays just because MicroMachine started to crash against Caninana. Pretty much just Caninana.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's have a look and see if MicroMachine can get a bit more lucky in game 2.
Okay, spawning down in the bottom left, down 1-0. It is MicroMachine, and his opponent in the top right, Caninana, trying to close out the series here. And these are both 1-0 bots. Is that correct? No.
They're both 1-1.
They've played 2 games, so they're 1-1.
Yeah.
1-1. Okay. Yeah. So winner, you basically you want to try to get 3 wins before you get 3 losses in this format. So going up 2-1 is a lot better than going down 1-2.
Yes, that's for sure. Yeah, I am worried about that crash happening for MicroMachine. Like, it is very unfortunate that that happened because, like you said, it could have potentially won that game.
And the thing is, if it crashed, it probably didn't do its like post-game analysis, say, with the data and whatnot. So he probably doesn't even know that it lost game 1. Normally, there might be something built in to say, hey, if that didn't work in game 1, then we try a different strategy in game 2 or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But in this case, it probably doesn't even know he played a game. So we're probably going to see the same strategy out of MicroMachine, which isn't bad because I think he was actually in a really good spot. But You
Yeah,
may want to try to win faster if there's a crash if it happens later in the game.
Yeah, I think fast wins are the way to go against Caninana because like it will get whittled down by those infestors, I think, in the late game. Uh, right, but let's see. It's another map with that bunker going up, so gas mining in the main gonna give MicroMachine a nice little economic boost.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's like you have to idle an SCV for a while you build the bunker. You got to spend the equivalent of 2 SCVs making it. But then for the rest of the game, you can basically mine with 2 less SCVs. So now, from this point forward, it's basically like MicroMachine is on 20 workers, not 18. And I think that's makes up for it big time.
I assume the bot author sat down and did some math before putting in the work to program this, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it was quite the task to program it.
Oh yeah, I believe it. I mean,
I've thought about it a little bit, to like implementing it, and it's just, I don't know. There's like too many questions in my head for like how things might not work out really well. I mean, we can speed mine to the gas guiders as well, so we get a little bit of edge without doing the bunker mining.
Okay.
The bunker mining is obviously much better.
I actually didn't know that. How much of an increase is it on the gas mining? Do you know?
Well, it only really matters if you have 1 or 2 in gas. 3 in gas is always 100% efficient, whether you're microing or not. But yeah, 2 in gas is normally like 75% efficient, and maybe with speed mining, it's like 80% of full efficiency.
Okay, that's interesting to know.
But MicroMachine with the bunker is probably like 95% of full efficiency. I don't think 4 SCVs plus 2 gases is totally perfect, but it's very, very close to full saturation. Reaper poke around a little bit, forcing out a lot of lings, which I guess is nice for him. Almost grenades himself, but able to dodge his own grenade, which is something actually bots often don't do. A lot of times you don't think of like friendly fire when you're coding your bot.
No,
it's like you might want to like try to dodge an enemy nuke, but you never really think of your own nuke, and you might just end up walking into it because you never thought to code against that before.
You accidentally nuked your own units, perchance?
No. There's actually this really funny clip of my bot versus Antibot where I fly a command center over one of his expansions because I was trying to take it, and then Antibot nukes that command center, so he's going to nuke his entire mineral line. Because he doesn't know about friendly fire either. And then my Raven comes and matrix the ghost to prevent the nuke from going off. Because I never considered that an enemy nuke might actually be beneficial for me.
Yeah, that's something that would be quite the challenge to program in logic to handle something like that.
It's a challenge to even think of that scenario happening. Is the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, because a human would never do that in the first place, fly a command center on top of like a hatchery or something. So
yeah. None of that should happen in the real game. Yeah, so it's a very similar build as game 1. We have Caninana finishing up his 3rd base. MicroMachine about ready to float down to his natural.
Yeah.
Obviously not building it on location does cost you maybe 2 SCVs, because while you could have been producing those SCVs, it's floating in the air instead.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, there is little things too, like they could have built that command center on the high ground a little bit closer even to the natural base. So it's little things like that. They all add up.
I do like this early push out of MicroMachine. It's
like
a timing that a human would never do, but sometimes it works out really well for him. There's actually a game where MicroMachine was playing Scarlet's off race as Protoss, and Scarlet got just crushed by like a timing that no Terran would actually attack, but MicroMachine did, and Scarlet totally caught off guard by it.
Yeah, well, the bot timings are just so unique too, because the speed mining changes all the timings as well. So
that's true, yeah.
Okay, MicroMachine doing a good job kiting against the lings of Caninana. Takes care of quite a few of them.
Yeah, getting a little bit pulled apart though by these overseers. Caninana loves having overseers just poking around the map at all times. Once you get speed on them, they're pretty difficult to kill off. So And they definitely
Automaton is
distract bot micro.
yeah. Having that random wall there on Automaton between the bases is a little bit. It can mess with bots pathing sometimes. So let's see. We've got that Roach Burrow on the way for Caninana, MicroMachine, more Banshees, more tanks. 1-1 on the way.
Yeah.
Banshee gets a drone, killing it before it can burrow. Very cool to see.
Yeah. Can we click on this Banshee there? See how it did while we were watching the Marines?
7 kills.
7 kills, that's nice. Maybe a couple creep tumors or something, but probably, 7 drones and links. Which is nothing to scoff at. And he does need to get some chip damage done with these Banshees. He may have also forced the drones to burrow as well.
Yeah,
and that
that
can
is.
also as a faster tech but lower economy opener.
Yeah, that is a very important factor, the drones burrowing. Now, MicroMachine, it has a Raven already. You pointed out that it didn't get one super early in the last game, but having one now and going for another move out, that could definitely help against burrowed roaches, potentially. That creep's going to be in trouble as the Raven will reveal those tumors. MicroMachine with just its odd number of units, a handful of Marines, a Raven, and the Cyclone. Raven hasn't tossed down any auto turrets yet. Marines are kiting back. Caninana does have quite a few roaches and queens to defend, though.
That tank is likely going to get picked off as it unsieges there and gets jumped. It's a little scary for MicroMachine there, being out on creep versus Zerglings and, just the Marines to deal with them. Obviously no Widow Mines or Hellions. But he is able to escape with the majority of his army. And that's nice, because he probably forced out a lot of army production out of Caninana that could have been drones otherwise. Banshee still being annoying as they can be. Picking off fresh creep tumor is always a beautiful thing too.
Yeah, those Banshees are being such a nuisance. Constantly poking and prodding. This is something that only bots can do, is have a unit active 24/7. I know I've played against MicroMachine in the past, trying to play Protoss and just... Or it might have been your bot. Either way, trying to defend against bot Banshees as a human is definitely a task.
Yeah. I do feel like bots are very good at saving their units versus Banshees, though. They take one hit and then they run away, or they take one hit and then they burrow. So I'd like to see a bot author start pairing up their Adepts or pairing up their Banshees, just to fire at the same time and get that one-shot kill on the workers.
Yeah. I'm not sure if any of those Protoss bots do that.
That's true. A lot of units pairing up Oracles as well. There's a lot of units that work better when harassing in pairs, because they're able to two-shot the worker. Forward gold base being taken for Caninana. I'm interested if bots ever get confused with the destructible rocks there. I've noticed the Blizzard AI actually gets confused with the destructible rocks on this map.
Yeah.
We're up against mineral patches. Yeah.
We also sometimes see bots take the gold base on this map, which can be something that affects the results, because -0, I noticed the bot author did actually set their bot to take the gold base as a priority.
Yeah, it's interesting. And that might even not be specifically coded into the map. It could just be a generic hey, if there's a gold base, let's take that one earlier rather than later.
Yeah,
it's probably worth it for the extra resources.
Okay, we've got Swarm Host on the way for Caninana.
I have noticed he's trickling those into his army now. I don't think he has some grand cheesy plan with it. He's just let's just kind of throw it into the mix and see how they do.
I swear, there's something in the water in human games and bot games. There's been quite a few Swarm Hosts recently, it seems.
If I were to make a Zerg bot, that would be the unit I would think to play with. I always wonder, how good would they be if you're actually launching... when I see humans play it, even pros, half the time
Yeah.
when it's off cooldown, they're not sending you waves of locusts.
Uh-huh.
It's like, what if you're sending waves literally every 40 seconds or whatever the cooldown happens to be?
Yeah,
It could
there's
be like
definitely
double the strength of what we've seen in the pro play.
definitely massive potential because yeah, like you could have your swarm host fan out in like a giant line and hit like there's a lot of potential with it, that's for sure.
And locusts are totally underrated. Their DPS is like a one locust is higher DPS than a roach. And you
Oh
can
yeah,
make, they're insane how fast they can do DPS.
yeah, it's ridiculous how good they are because half the time by the time you're done cleaning them up, there's another wave coming. So and it's they are definitely one of those units too, like trying to program a bot to handle the logic of something like swarm host poking and prodding constantly because they're the kind of unit you either need to basically counter push and kill or just fight but take 0 losses, which is not something that's easy to program, that's for sure.
Yeah, little engagements here in the middle. Not a lot of MicroMachine units, but you know, the more Caninana pushes in, the more Terran units he's finding on the way.
Yeah, there's those battle cruisers out for MicroMachine. There's Yamato cannon being researched. However, the infestors are there, the threat to the battle cruisers. Corruptors are caustic spraying on that gold base. There's a neural parasite on the battle cruiser. Will it get teleported? Where is it gonna go? There it goes. Upper right corner, maybe? Something? Yep, there it is.
Oh yeah, there's the farm.
This does not work very well for MicroMachine. Building battle cruisers, it's something at its age does show a little bit, as Caninana will probably consistently grab these BCs.
Yeah, I was actually really inspired when I saw Sharkbot play in the last stream. You would keep Templar inside of Warp Prism, and you literally drop them for like 1 game frame, feedback something, and then pop back in. And I'm like, huh.
Yeah,
Maybe I should have a medevac with Ghosts going around it and try to shut down all this Infestor usage and Viper usage.
That would
you literally only
definitely
have
be
to
an
show
option.
your Ghost for like a frame, and then you get the EMP off.
Yeah, I would, I think I'd honestly, I mean, there's a lot of layers to it as far as like the Infestor battle cruiser dynamic, but I think, I'm curious to see if we'll ever see a bot author just keep their battle cruiser on teleport cooldown so it can't just be grabbed by Caninana. And there's another crash. Oh man.
It's too bad. Maybe something that, if it is a bug, I wonder if Rasper, I forgot who the author of MicroMachine is. Raffavar would come back and reset up. Because he is still kind of active in the scene. Like, he'll put his bot on the ladder. Like, he'll submit it to tournaments.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Maybe he'll come back and do a little bug fix. We'll see.
We've done a bit of analysis on the replays, and what we think is if a unit dies while under neural parasite, it crashes MicroMachine. But I'm not sure whether that's entirely consistent or not. But that seems to be something that does happen. So yeah, I mean I may be entirely wrong, but that seems to be something that we have happen occasionally. So
it was around that point in the game, though. When, basically, when Neural came out, he crashed very soon after that. So yeah, that could be related.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because it makes you wonder what MicroMachine's win rate against. Well, I guess it might not save those results, like you said, but
yeah.
Certainly, no one was doing what Caninana was doing back when MicroMachine was an active author. So this whole Neural and screw your BCs is brand new to the bot, to MicroMachine.
Yeah, but MicroMachine is not yet eliminated. He will go down for 1 and 2, and we will see him in the next round. So
I don't want to.
That should be fun. That could be a tough game. It's going to be some tough games down there anyway.
1 and 2 is going to be loaded with some good bots in there. We're going to lose some good ones in the next round.
Definitely. All right, so our next match will feature ThomTest. Bot seeded 12th.
Hey.
It's had actually a really, really good tournament so far, taking out Caninana in the first round, and then obviously losing to -0, but it's been doing really well. And he'll be facing up against DominionDog, seeded 8th, with ELO of 1935. Another one of our older bots. Managed to take out SharpenedEdge in the first round before losing to Zozo. Should be a really fun game, guys.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting because the last update DominionDog got was around the time that ThomTest sort of was making its big splash on the scene. So I have no idea, like whether there's any counterplay to ThomTest's crazy bio timing put into DominionDog or not.
They haven't already played in this tournament, did they? Am I recalling this wrong?
No, they
Who
haven't.
Who did DominionDog face in the first round?
DominionDog faced SharpenedEdge in the first round.
Okay,
So
mixing up games, I guess. All right, yeah, this will be good. I mean, they both have some pretty powerful early pushes, so
yeah,
this will be a nice one.
Yeah, it should be
Yeah.
a good game. All right, well, let's get to it, I guess. Share a screen with you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much to everyone for tuning in, by the way. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitch, click the like button, click the follow button on the stream.
Yeah, like
We'll
and
be
subscribe.
back here. Yeah, like and subscribe, all that good stuff.
Cool. All right, let's go.
ThomTest, man, it's just like you know exactly what it's gonna do, but it's entertaining every time.
So ThomTest is the one that likes the strong one base bio push, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. This will be interesting.
Probably the most powerful one base spot.
DominionDog's SCVs are a little bit messed up there on the left-hand side, I'm noticing.
Oh.
They're not mining correctly, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, you are 100% right about that. We'll see. Maybe it'll correct itself once it gets a few more out.
Anyways, to introduce them though, in the top and bottom right we have DominionDog, the blue Terran, and ThomTest will be the red Terran in the top left. So yeah, just like eyeballing the minimap, it does look like a slightly larger map than normal. So
Yeah,
could be a
look
little
at the
disadvantage
income
for a
though.
larger bot.
You are right pointing out that SCV bug for DominionDog. It's got a lower income compared to ThomTest.
Yeah, there's like 5 SCVs there, and only 2 of them are mining. It is kind of like a weird layout of minerals. Normally,
Yeah.
like corners don't have that layout, so it might just like in Java we have to implement our own speed mining. It's not built into the framework or anything like that.
Yeah.
So probably a little glitch that the author of DominionDog will need to look into. Team Fidelina or whatever. And that's kind of bad because you want to have a strong economy when you're going to be facing this much bio, and there's going to be a lot coming here for out of ThomTest.
Is DominionDog printing its chat tags, going for the scout, suspected Marine Rush, Terran early
That's
aggressive
good.
Reaper. Yeah, DominionDog scouting is quite good for the most part.
Yep. But usually, like when you're going to do a response to what you scout, the first thing you do is you code the scouting, and then the next stage would be code, the transition you'll do in your build to counter that. So the question is, has he done step 2 yet with his bot?
Yeah, I think so. They've got multiple racks on the way. No expo in sight.
That's a problem I haven't solved yet. When you got, a set build order, like how do you kind of just like change it on the fly?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things too, because like you don't want to program your bot to overreact or anything like that and hurt itself. So yeah, DominionDog's cheese response is really great to see though. Like it does, I've seen it do the same thing against Xena in some really fun to watch games where it scouts the proxy and then it's like, I'm just gonna make a ton of stuff. And that's what it's doing right now. It's made some Marines, but then now it's going into mass Reaper against ThomTest. I have no idea how this is gonna work out.
Yeah, I was about to say I couldn't figure it out for a second there. I'm like, he's on double gasp and 5 barracks with no factory. Like making Marines don't need that much gas. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a Mass Reaper build. And we
Yeah,
have seen this out of DominionDog in the past. Back when MicroMachine was unbeatable, DominionDog was able to cheese him to death with a Mass Reaper all in.
yeah,
So
Dominion Dogs like it when it got really high on the ladder, it was off the back of like its mass crazy amount of Reaper Hellions. But its Reapers do need some work, I think, because like they don't use grenades, which is something that's very, very notable for a bot that builds as many Reapers as Dominion Dog does sometimes.
And I like if he's switching off. Yeah, I 4 Marines on the production tab. I like that. Because the other thing is Reapers are terrible versus Bio. So you don't want to have Mass Reaper
Yeah,
versus Marine Marauder.
they're not great. I mean, mass grenades, they can definitely do damage against a big bio blob, but the numbers are looking a little scary right now for
Yeah,
Dominion
Dominion
Dog.
Dog's in a lot of trouble. He's got a handful of Marines and Reapers versus Marines that I assume. No, they don't have
Got
combat
plus
shield, do
one
they?
attack.
Those shields in there? No, they do have combat shield. Yeah, combat
Yeah.
shield plus 1 attack. Yeah, yeah. This is
And
going to be
here
rough.
we go. I mean, like, Dominion Dog's got a decent number of units, but not enough, it would seem.
Yeah.
So ThomTest
Combat shield is huge. That's like a 20% increase to your health.
Yeah. I mean, who knows how much stuff Dominion Dog would have had if it had been mining properly.
Yeah, that's the other big thing as well. So
Hard.
tough map for Dominion Dog.
Yeah, the next map could be a lot better for it if it is able to mine with full efficiency. ThomTest, man, continuing to be a champion.
Yeah, that was seriously impressive there from ThomTest. But like I say, don't know how the mining of Dominion Dog got messed up that badly, but hopefully it won't on the next map. So I will get that.
Yeah, I mean,
up.
in reactive, like 4 racks versus the 3 racks all in, that's probably not going to work either. So even with the proper mining, I don't know if like an upgraded Marines and a few Reapers, even if you had more of them, would have done anything against those combat shield Marines and Marauders.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Seemed just like a build or victory for ThomTest there.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you haven't programmed anti-ThomTest behavior into your bot, it hits pretty hard.
Yeah, I did like the way he just sent the Reapers over the map and then thought, no, I'm pulling back on this one. It was definitely the correct response, although possibly a bit late. All right, let's go with a game 2.
Okay, so spawning in the top right-hand corner, it is going to be ThomTest looking to close out this series and move on to 2-1. Is that correct? I think so.
Yeah,
And in the bottom left, we have the Blue Terran DominionDog, who seems to be mining better.
That is very good to see.
Yeah, and you can see all those extra clicks with the speed mining. SCVs fully accelerating into the mineral patch without that deceleration time. Always nice to get that little boost to the economy. Barracks being built as far away as possible from the enemy base, has even a long trek just to exit the main base in that location.
Yeah, now Automaton can definitely be an interesting map when it comes to AI because, I mean, pathing is a difficult thing, and there's a lot of opportunity for units to shoot from the high ground to the low ground on this map on the approach because units will just path against the wall. So that could be a factor this game, not necessarily a guarantee or anything like that, but it is something that I've seen a fair bit of.
Yeah. This map is the map where if I play versus Zerg, like 100% of the time I'm facing Mutalisks. Just the fact that your main base can be entered from every side.
Yeah.
Makes it so strong for like air-based strategies. I would assume oracles would be like super popular on this map as well. It's just rare to see a main base that's not placed in the corner of a map.
Yeah, that's true. SCV Scout for DominionDog. Once again, it is a bot that consistently scouts. It's going to come on in, see the Marine, but only sees one Rax this time, so it might not even react to this.
And that could actually be a blessing in disguise for DominionDog. I don't think his like throw down a bunch of Racks and make Reapers response was great. And this time, yeah, so he says early tank push. So this, you'll be teching up to factory instead, and I think that could have a little bit more success.
Yeah,
handful of
like
Marines and a tank feels better than a handful of Marines and Reapers.
oh yeah, on Automaton, like if it has a tank on the high ground or something, like there's good potential here. Now,
Yeah.
I am curious if that Reaper is going to get a follow-up scout, though, to potentially make DominionDog react. I think it's just crossing on the ThomTest side right now. Yeah, it does get into the main base. It does throw down a grenade, so pardon me for not saying that DominionDog didn't use grenades before. It sees a few Marines, but so far no new chat tags, no reaction, anything like that. ThomTest Rax placement is rather hidden. The Reaper will try again. We'll see if it finds anything. Yeah, early Marine rush, so maybe it's seeing 5 Marines or something. That's what sets it off, perhaps.
Yeah, that does queue up DominionDog to throw down another barracks.
Oh,
but he's already up to
DominionDog.
Starport, so.
Its Starport is in a very poor place, though. Oh, that is
Oh,
really
my.
messing with its mining again. Oh, no.
Oh, if he built an add-on out there too, it's just going to make it even worse. Please tell me he floats it away. This is bad luck for
Yeah.
DominionDog, just running into probably the worst type of bug you can get is the bugs that messes with your economy.
Yeah. There is a Liberator on the way for DominionDog. It's going to be interesting if that's set up defensively or even offensively, as that can, like, ThomTest might not have any behavior programmed into it to handle a Liberator. So we'll see about that.
It's weird.
DominionDog.
Yeah, DominionDog even has one mineral patch that's not blocked, and he's not even mining from it. All the
Yeah,
SCVs are like wanting to get at those blocked patches, so he's actually
Yeah,
pulling
that-
them away from other patches just to get there.
Poor DominionDog really taking a hit to its economy. I believe DominionDog did it cancel its CC? It's only got one right now, I believe, right?
Yeah,
It's
he's just starting his
one on the
natural
low
now.
ground. So it scouted the early Marine Rush and it canceled the expansion like a lot of bots do. The Liberator is out. Seems like it's just hanging out at the natural for now. We'll see if it gets set up or what. But here comes ThomTest. And oh boy.
And Liberators, once they face combat shields, they cannot one-shot Marines anymore, I think.
I think they
Is it
can.
40 damage per hit? Oh, no, maybe I'm way off.
It's
No,
way
maybe it's like
more than that,
70.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. Never mind. So combat shields is actually not important versus Liberators at all. But with
Yeah,
that
but there
said,
is-
one Liberator is not going to do much against this.
Yeah,
Especially
a
when
lot
it's
of
not
+1
pre-sieged.
Marines. The Cyclone is there, so it can help with this. It's a nice concave, and the Liberator does get set up. There's the Reapers on the high ground as well.
That's
And
a big deal.
that is a massive, massive improvement from the previous match for DominionDog. And this Liberator will just keep shooting. So a successful defense on the first wave for DominionDog. Now, it's not going to be a clear win because ThomTest isn't a bot that'll just trickle units in one by one into the Liberator because it has got some very good pooling mechanics with its pushes. So it's like waves.
Yeah. The one thing I do remember from week 1 as well is Caninana smashing the first push of ThomTest and then collapsing to the push 2. So, yeah.
Yeah,
And
the second push, it'll
most of
probably
the
have...
time leading up to the first push, DominionDog's mining wasn't crippled. Now, from this point forward, it is crippled because of that starport.
That's true.
So.
The natural is mining now, though, which is maybe going to improve things a little bit. But still, that means SCVs are being made, not necessarily bunkers or tanks or any other units being produced for DominionDog. I'm curious if it will start a tank once it hits 150 minerals. It's just making Marines, though, which is not ideal.
And the one problem with microing units every single game frame is that the ability of structured placement to push units out of the way doesn't work because you're always like putting the unit back. So I think that Starport, the fact that hasn't been producing for a long time, I think he wants to build a tech lab there, and he can't because there's all those mass micro SCVs in the position blocking it.
Yeah. Well, eventually that problem may be solved if the game goes on long enough. The mineral patch will eventually disappear, or it actually might not if it's not being mined from.
Yeah, well, all the SCVs might disappear, so that might
Yeah.
solve the problem a little too late.
So at least building another starport and a third command center. DominionDog wants to macro, but it doesn't really know it's up against ThomTest, the all-in wonder. So let's see how this is going to go. There's 2 Cyclones, a decent number of Marines, but there is 1-1 for ThomTest. There's going to be no high ground Reapers, at least for this first engagement. The Liberator will get a decent number of shots up, but yeah, there's the Reapers that were firing from the high ground last time. And that Liberator does go down, so ThomTest's second push is just no joke.
Yeah, and DominionDog does actually trickle a little bit with his units. He's very good when he's ahead, but when he falls behind, he kind of has that issue where he'll kind of, I need to defend, and he'll just like send the units to their death.
Definitely. Reaper on the high ground is not going to be able to shoot enough to kill all this bio as it approaches the main. The depots don't even raise, but I mean the bio just shoots through everything so quickly. That +1 bio, you really got to give it to ThomTest. It's like, such a good one-basing bot, although it does actually change path to go for the starport.
Yeah, that'll allow the Cyclone to do well for a little while at least. Until it gets
a little bit of time. The Reaper barely survives. And there is Cloak on the way now for DominionDog. So and it does have 2 Banshees building.
Yeah, I think he was able to finally get a tech lab on that one starport.
Oh, well, the Cloak.
Cloak's gone.
Or,
no,
wait,
that wasn't Cloak. That was probably Hyperflight Riders or something.
Yeah, I have no idea. Anyway, another Cyclone pops out. The natural is being gutted for DominionDog. The problem is ThomTest bio just puts out so much damage so quickly. Like, it is going to chew through all these buildings. The Cyclone dies.
Yeah, Cyclone does so well until it gets hit with 1 concussive shell, and then it's screwed.
Okay, there's a Banshee for DominionDog.
Yeah, kiting back. There is no stim, so he can kite it for quite a while.
Still eating a fair bit of damage.
Yeah, Cloak is maybe 20 seconds out. I think he'll probably get it done. I'm not sure if the Banshee will live that long. He may actually not get it done.
Yeah, man.
And this would be like having to win the entire game with the Cloak Banshee as well, because Cloak did not finish. Oh
well done to ThomTest. Taking the 2-0 against DominionDog.
Yeah, amazing performance from ThomTest. A new bot for one of our tournaments, and coming in here with some amazing pushes, and yeah, taking out DominionDog, one of our older and more storied bots on the ladder. So yeah, we'll be seeing them both in the next round though, so it should be good. But yeah, no, really good performance there from ThomTest.
And I think if they run into each other again, it's not like set in stone that ThomTest is going to win the second time. Those are 2 really unfortunate errors that happen with DominionDog that probably won't happen if they play on different maps. So
yeah,
we'll see. They could run into each other again. They're
oh, definitely.
both still in it.
Yeah, both still in with a chance. All right, our next one features another one with test in the title. It is OneTest, base 7, seeded 15th. So, yeah, doing quite well. Round 1, it's had a loss against -0, and it had a win. I can't remember against who, but I pretty should have put it on the thing, but never mind. And
is it 12 pool bot? I can't remember.
Possibly. But yeah, playing up against one of our more...
was against Theo, I believe.
Ah, yes, Theo, yeah, that's correct, yeah. And playing up against SharpenedEdge, seated 9th, another one of our oldest bots on the ladders. Not quite as old as MicroMachine, but getting there. So, yeah.
Yeah, they're both very old. I'm not actually sure which one has been around longer, but they've both been around forever.
MicroMachine is the older one, by about a year, okay. I think. Yeah.
You would know,
so,
yeah. That's all before my time.
Yeah. So, should be a really good game.
Yeah, SharpenedEdge is pretty fleshed out. Has multiple strategies.
Yeah, it hasn't been updated for a little bit though. Like you said, the bot author spends a lot of time working on the framework, not so much of their bot. I believe you mentioned at one point.
Yeah, Sharpie framework is definitely one of the best. If you're thinking about building a bot and enjoy Python, then Sharpie framework is definitely a good one to go for.
Yeah, a lot of great options when it comes to Python. Even the base framework is great, but yeah, Sharpie and Aries give you both very different sets of help in helping you build a new bot.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get going.
All right.
So spawning in the right-hand side of the map, same map as last game, I guess, is one test. And in the left-hand side, it's going to be SharpenedEdge. So we got PvP here. Yeah, interestingly enough, SharpenedEdge is not built with the Sharpie framework because it predates the Sharpie framework. Basically, he ripped out all the best parts of SharpenedEdge and made a framework out of it, I think is what happened. Yeah, so similar builds out of both. It looks like it's going to be Gateway into Gas on both sides. One test a little bit quicker with it, though.
Yeah, so sorry, I don't know if anyone mentioned this, but yeah, one test is programmed using the Sharpie framework.
Oh, there you go. We might see some similarities here then. There was a time where the Sharpie framework made for really good Protoss bots for some reason, and like 5 of the top 10 bots were like Protoss Sharpie bots. So
yeah.
Then for some reason, like immediately after that, we had like no Protosses in the top 10. So it was refreshing when bots like Sharkbot and Negative Zero joined the scene.
Hey, so we've got an expansion for one test, which in PvP can be a little bit risky.
Yep. First to expand loses. That's the unwritten rule in PvP.
Yeah, it holds true pretty well in bot games and in pro games. I think the only exception to that is pretty much like Max Packs in pro PvPs because he just is so good at defending.
Yeah. And SharpenedEdge is looking like he's doing a build that could punish this fast expand as he's getting that Warp Gate and Robo as quickly as possible. This is going to be some sort of Stalker Immortal push that will be difficult to hold for one test. Let's see if he has the ability to use batteries and overcharge.
Yeah, Gateway, Stalker, Robo pushes are quite common from Protoss bots as it works rather well. Now, a scout goes down for SharpenedEdge with that probe, sees that there is a Nexus, but gets chased away by the Zealot for one test, which pursues a ways, but then does cease the pursuit.
Yeah, so one test will have Defender's advantage. His Warp Gate's a little bit quicker. And I like that he switched from Zealot into Stalker as soon as that Cybercore was done. Because he'll need as much Stalkers as possible to deal with what will be coming from SharpenedEdge, I assume. I guess there's always a chance SharpenedEdge built a whole bunch of units and never attacks.
It's true.
The first time a bot's done that. But I just assume he's going to be the aggressor in this game.
Yeah, it looks fairly likely, but there is potential that SharpenedEdge may just decide not to attack for whatever reason and just throw up a late expansion. Robo is on the way for one test, so maybe going into its own Immortal Stalker composition.
And there's a battery in the low ground, so I do like that at one test.
Yeah.
We are one patch behind on this bot meta, so where the shield battery overcharge does still exist in this game.
Yeah. And some bots are actually so good at using it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I think you can be like, you can just have like a generic, like if the enemy army is nearby, just turn it on sort of idea, or if you take any damage nearby, turn it on.
Okay, there's a prism on the way for SharpenedEdge, so that's kind of the last piece of the puzzle for an attack, as it does start to move out, preempting the prism as well, which is just really smart programming by the bot author saying, hey, yeah, move out. The prism will be there in time. So nicely timed push. And now it's currently 32 army supply against 22. So not a great margin for SharpenedEdge, seeing as how it's going to have to get some big damage done. There's 41 workers to 23, so like one test could in theory lose 20 probes and survive here and still be ahead.
Yeah, SharpenedEdge actually getting split up with his army though. 4 stalkers running in and taking the fight first, and 3 of them are already dead. All 4 are dead now. But 2 mortals do show up now. There's Warp Prism Micro, and they're fighting away from the shield battery, so one-test probably not going to win this, although he's going to do better than I would have suspected.
Yeah, the Immortals are just going to be able to clean all these Stalkers up, no problem. We'll see how SharpenedEdge pursues this further. 2 Zealots wander forward for one-test, that's not great. An Immortal is being produced by the red Protoss bot on the high ground. I'm curious if SharpenedEdge is going to warp in more units, or if it's just sending them across the map. That Robo...
Yeah, the Robo's a huge threat. Does go down. Unfortunate positioning for those structures. I guess it does keep his expansion alive a lot longer, so his economy not going to get hit.
Oh no. The attempt to immediately rebuild the Robo is not great. There's a warp in by SharpenedEdge, so making use of the Warp Prism, very cool to see. And one-test just doesn't have enough units to defend. It's doing sort of trickle defense. It does eventually decide to build the Robo in another position once the pylon is unpowered, which is good. It actually builds double Robo. Just 1 stalker at a time is not that good.
Yeah, there's that fully charged battery, but no units actually to fight with the battery. Well, he does get 1 warp in. Battery does actually heal a little bit, but I think that's going to be all she said. Yeah. Original 2 Immortals never even going down for SharpenedEdge, so
Probes do get
versus Stalkers.
Yeah, really well done by SharpenedEdge, showing one-test who the boss is.
Yeah, there was potential there for one-test. I think if he took the fight with those original 4 stalkers right at his shield battery, if he had some sort of code to like stay near the shield battery, then I think it could have been a different story. But yeah, it's difficult to hold if he expands as well.
You are right about that. Like we saw the Zealot in the early game leash quite far, chasing that probe. So maybe that just needs to be tightened up quite a bit.
Yeah. No, I think SharpenedEdge does really well there, though, and showing who's boss of the framework, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always a chance for one-test to come back. So let's take a look at game number 2.
Yeah, let's get into it.
I haven't had an ace match yet, so let's see if this will be the first one.
It could be the first one, yes.
Okay, so down 1-0, it is one-test. Spawning in the top left is the red Protoss. And the blue Protoss spawning down in the bottom right will be SharpenedEdge. Did I say red? I meant blue. I don't know what I said. Anyways, SharpenedEdge in the bottom right.
We know what you're talking about. Okay, so we'll see if it's just going to be the expansion for one-test again. I'm not sure if either of these bots have behavior built in to sort of choose bit or how many builds they even have programmed into them as far as like build selection goes.
Yeah. If you have tested your name still, you probably don't have a lot of options, I would guess. But yeah, we did see the early second gas out of SharpenedEdge, so I think SharpenedEdge is going to stay on the 1 base train. But he still might pull at something else. SharpenedEdge has lots of heavy gas builds, like Tempest and whatnot.
Yeah, we could very well see Tempest or something. I don't know how SharpenedEdge selects its builds. Like if it's win rate based, it would make sense just to go for the same thing. As we do have a Nexus on the way for one-test again.
And that will get scouted by SharpenedEdge as long as his SCV heads home, or his probe heads home, which it does. Well, it just scouts the expansion, then goes back in. Okay.
SharpenedEdge opens with a Zealot in this game. Did it do that in the previous match?
I don't recall.
Yeah, I'm not 100. Oh, it cancels the zealot. Okay. Or no, it doesn't. It finishes. Pardon me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I do like that play that's not used often enough, is the build a zealot and cancel at the last second, especially if you don't know what you're up against.
Yeah.
Yes, if
Yeah.
you do get your expansion and you want to expand, for instance, it's really nice to have that zealot 3/4 of the way done.
Oh yeah, it's an absolute, like, if you expand as Protoss, it's something that you have to do because like you just don't have the extra gateway, so you've got so little production. But I mean, it's SharpenedEdge that's just making the units early on. Probe scout for SharpenedEdge comes on in. We'll see that zealot try and chase the probe down, but we can kind of take note that ThomTest does allow its units to follow that probe quite a distance. Like, that zealot has to travels quite a distance before staying near the safety of the nexus slash where the battery would be.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, SharpenedEdge does like to kite backwards as it's fighting, so
Yeah.
the fact that ThomTest is willing to leave his expansion, I think just means he's no matter what, SharpenedEdge is going to drag him away from the shield battery, assuming things go the same way as last game.
Yeah, it's not great. We'll see if there's any potential changes here. Like, maybe not losing that robo on the high ground, but it's still yeah, going to be a little difficult. SharpenedEdge now says rush macro, which is interesting, as it doesn't seem to have any macro intent.
Yeah, he just said robo all in like 10 seconds ago. So
Mm-hmm.
did he change his mind what he's doing, or
It doesn't seem like it based on what it's building.
okay, maybe he can do both those things.
No,
Not
like,
sure what doing rush macro means. Like, are you rushing the macro, or are you doing a rush and trying to
yeah.
macro behind it afterwards, or I don't know.
Or are you scouting your opponent's level of macro? Who knows?
Yeah, he might be taking his opponent. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I do like what ThomTest is doing. Like, some of the top bots are greedy bots that go for quick expansions. Like, it's got an incredibly high worker count by now. It just may need some defensive improvements. We'll see whether it can have a good defense to start this off. It does have an immortal on the way.
Yeah. He had one moral for the previous game. There's one moral against 2. I could see him
Right.
getting a really nice position here. If the fight happens with SharpenedEdge kind of at the bottom of that ramp, then you'll have to
Yeah.
kind of work around the corner of that ramp, and at the same time the shield battery is almost in range. So
Yeah, it could be good. Stalkers are leading the push for SharpenedEdge again.
actually, they're waiting this time. They're not
Oh, okay.
going too far ahead. I don't know why it happened last time, but yeah, they're,
Oh no,
Stalker's
ThomTest is moving out. Not
Just
good,
unfortunate
ThomTest.
timing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got that really aggressive step micro to walk forward, which isn't good when your opponent has more firepower. ThomTest does seem to do a bit of math and realize it needs to retreat, but then it decides to fight again, which is not ideal. So it's down to just its one immortal, and that shall perish. Things are looking mighty rough for the newcomer.
Yeah, that's too early of a push out. If the ThomTest author is here, if you're going to expand first in PvP, you don't want to push out that early. Wait until you have the advantage of expanding early, which would be like in another 3 minutes or so. You should stay on the defense, because if he didn't push out, I think he would have had a really good position to defend that.
Yeah,
range of the battery and having SharpenedEdge, like having to swing around that ramp.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, vision as well.
If it plays a little bit more defensive, it may be able to get away with that Nexus and yeah, that Nexus. So well done by SharpenedEdge.
Yeah.
Nice work there,
Nice victory.
Goes on to 2-1. ThomTest is on 1-2. Yes, the slapdown, my framework. Yeah, no, it's but I mean, ThomTest has still got alive in the tournament, so we'll have to see if they can come back and make it a decent run. So yeah, but that was a fun game. All right.
It makes me wonder though, when is the turning point of where you expand with Protoss and you end up with a bigger army? Like at some point you're going to end up with a bigger army than the one base player, but like what time is that in the game? I don't even know.
Yeah, it takes a while, I guess.
It's definitely after that point that ThomTest.
Oh yeah, because like
Or not
OneTest
ThomTest. Who was playing? OneTest, yeah.
Yeah.
did build a second robo, but it just never used it because it moved out and fought before that second robo had finished.
Yeah, I think quite honestly, if one test had just stayed back and fought under the shield battery, like he probably would have done okay. Maybe be able to push that back and then had the bigger armor going forward. So
Like maybe there's some crazy Protoss bots on the ladder that like take 2 expansions, and then his push out would make sense. But I think in the vast
Yeah.
majority of games, if you're expanding with Protoss, you are playing the defensive role for a long time.
yeah,
You should not be pushing out. Yeah.
if you're taking 2 expansions with Protoss, good luck to you.
I mean, crazier things happen. It is the bot meta.
Yeah.
I played defensive with my bot. There was a bot that joined the ladder that took 7 hatcheries before it built its first spawning pool. So
Oh,
you just got
God.
destroyed by a lot of bots. But if you didn't attack him, oh my gosh, he would get so strong so fast. At the 10-minute mark, he'd be like maxed out with like floods of Marines or floods of Zerglings.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to our last match of the evening. It is -0, our seeded 2 Protoss.
Wow.
Has a lot of test bots against it so far. This is the first non-test bot it's going to face. It is going to face Eris, the #1 seed, god of... What is Eris the god of? I forget, but...
It's a moon god of...
yeah.
We can Google this.
God of Starcraft 2 AI. That's what it is.
Oh, pardon me. It's a dwarf planet, not a moon.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah, I think they're all celestial bodies from Team Eris.
Phobos is a moon, I think.
Yeah,
Although
that's
maybe I'm
a
wrong about that
moon of
too.
Jupiter. No, that's a moon of Mars, isn't it, Phobos?
Yeah, because there's Phobos, then there's Deimos.
Yeah. So, and
I have to admit, I didn't know that Mars had moons.
Yep, got 2.
Never knew that. You never see it on like the little illustrations.
no, you can't see them. Can't see them with a
Well, they're
naked eye.
tiny.
But yeah.
They're rather small, I think.
All right. Well, this is going to be a really, really exciting game for our last one of the evening. So
Yes, I think I'm very excited for this match, and I think a lot of people are. The 2 top bots at the minute taking each other on in a best of 3. What more can you ask for?
yeah, and it's always good to see this, and it's not have to wait all the way till the final. Right, I'll just get it loaded up one sec.
I'm interested to know how active the -0's author is. Like when he
Quite
returned, did he
active.
just put his bot back on the ladder, or has he been
Very
upgrading it
active.
as well? Last updated March 16th, so today. Okay, yeah, that's pretty active.
Yeah, I think he before this tournament started, I think he'd just maybe published like a couple of updates or had just started, but since then he's put out a fair few updates.
Written in Go, I forgot about that. Yeah, written in a very fast programming language, and that is something we do have to care about as bot authors. Is that your bot has to perform. It only gets like a certain amount of milliseconds every frame to get things done quickly enough. Anyways, we're right into the game here. Spine down the bottom right is the #1 bot on the ladder. It is Eris. And the red Protoss spawning in the top left, the #2 bot on the ladder. It is -0. So last time we did see -0 active on the scene, it was actually in a Probots final of -0 versus Eris. And -0 actually had Eris's number, beating him out in the long games. However, Eris is made by Rasper, and Rasper's had a history of having sneaky, like, cheesy builds up his sleeve. And once Eris realized that he wasn't going to be to -0 the easy way, he pulled out some special builds and was able to secure the finals victory. But that does, the fact that Eris pulls that out of his hat means that you are actually better than Eris in a way, because he usually doesn't need to pull those builds out. He's just too strong playing basic macro versus everyone else.
Yeah, -0 and Eris are just both incredible bots. Like -0 has got phenomenal unit control, and Micro it rarely makes mistakes anyway. Now that you mentioned the updates, like one thing the bot author programmed in was recalling recently. Like adding in behavior to recall some of their units, which is cool.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, like, actually, like, -0 in many ways wasn't a complete Protoss, we'll say. Like, I always say Sharkbot's like the first bot to actually use every single ability that exists in his race. -0 more like he did certain things and he did them really well, but like, does he do battery overcharge? I'm not sure. Does he pick up units with his Phoenix? I'm not sure. Like, things like that may not even exist in his bot yet. But you know, if you do the basics like near perfect, then you don't even need those things. They're just like gravy at that point.
There is a nice wall going up for -0.
Yeah, and a battery in the wall, so that might answer whether he does overcharge or not. Probably does, based on the fact that he's building batteries this early.
Stalker is on the way.
Zealot's a little bit exposed in that wall. I could see, you know, 2 or 3 Lings being able to get. Well, no, maybe probably only 2. All depends what the shape of those rocks are. Sometimes they're visually different than what they actually are.
Okay, so we do have Eris playing standard Eris as far as everything looks, as it's just got that third base on the way, squeezing out drones. -0, meanwhile, is just producing 2 Stalkers at a time. So we'll see if it decides to get like aggressive off of 2 bases or if it'll go up to a third. There is a Stargate being added in now. Not the quickest one in the world, but still significant. Look at that. Yeah, second battery.
This is a tougher map for Eris to keep tabs on his opponent, though. Like, every time he walks up the ramp with the Zergling to get to spot, he's going to eat shots from every single Stalker. Yeah, and there goes the
okay.
So just the fact that the ramp is right where the Stalkers are is difficult for him. Overlord did take a peek as well. I think he's seen all 4 Stalkers at this point and retreats back to a pillar.
Yeah, there's that chat tag. Eris versus Mass Stalker. So it's probably just going to start making a ton of Lings if I had to guess. Lair gets
Lings
fired
are
up.
good counter to Stalkers, although you do have to have good decision making of when to stay back and when to jump them, and that's something we've seen in the past that a lot of Zerg bots have issues with. Either permanently staying back or trying to jump Stalkers and getting shredded because there's not enough Zerglings.
Yeah, it's very difficult to program that logic. Eris, I mean, it's the best Zerg bot. It has got some, like, its logic rarely looks flawed. Now, the very impressive thing about Eris here is that it knows it's going up against Mass Stalker, and it's confidently taking a 4th base during that, squeezing out drones, but then still making Lings, which, well, Lings are pretty darn good against Stalkers, so it can get away with that.
Yeah, he does have forward spotters, and he is a bot, so he will be able to like instantly switch his production to pure units if the push starts heading out.
And there it goes.
Yeah, and that actually the sight range of burrowed Zerglings is very small, so I'm not sure if he even seen this push out yet. I believe there's a Zergling just off the screen, so you've seen it now. Yeah, and that Zergling's being very distractive.
Okay,
but it does die as it loses high ground vision, so now the push is back on track. And let's see how this performs. Stalker is not known for being great versus Lings, but we do have really good unit control out of -0. The fact that he kites back though does mean it's easier to surround the Stalkers because they don't stay in a group.
Yeah,
and
one
in fact,
Stalker.
He's full retreat now.
Yeah, one Stalker kind of took one for the team, and it went south, and that allowed the rest of the Stalkers to retreat.
Yeah, -0 unable to expand. He does have a probe there wanting to.
Yeah.
But no observer yet. Just one getting started right now. Alternatively, the Oracle might come out and reveal that Zergling.
Yeah, few Lings getting shot by these Stalkers. Eris is a bot that will sometimes counterattack with its Lings. For now, though, they are just being kept in check as -0's army is actually chasing them a little bit. Oracle Robo on the way for -0. -0 is a bot that likes to build up a high Colossus count at times as well. And that can be very good against Ling Hydra.
Lings do sneak around to the side and catch some reinforcement zealots. Voidray has actually prioritized killing the Burrowed Ling that was blocking the expansion, so they were not participating in that fight at all.
No, they were not. As far as army supply goes, things aren't terrible for -0 right now, except Eris is on 86 workers against the 44 of the Protoss, so we're going to need to see some incredible fights from the Toss. Meanwhile, the Lings of Eris are still just running around, constantly picking a fight with this Protoss army. Like, I don't know, resources lost is fairly close, so nothing too significant has happened yet. But, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see whether -0 can hold on to build up, say, potentially like a few Colossus and then really start taking the good trades against Eris. The supply is kind of concerning right now with 175 for Eris.
Yeah, it might be a good thing that -0 has never been able to make it across the map. He gets getting distracted by Zerglings, but I think at this point you probably want to be on a defensive stance with this army.
Oh,
because he does forward
absolutely, yeah.
cannon and his own structures help him. However, he is push across the map. He's getting engaged by a large army. Looks like it's gonna be Hydra Ling, which is great versus Stalkers. That's exactly what you want against that sort of army.
Yeah,
Voidray is also not great versus Hydras.
Nope, the Oracle's flying around, but not helping out, so pretty much all the ground units die for -0. There's a Disruptor being made, not a single Colossus being produced yet, which is a little bit concerning. The main worry right now, though, is that Eris has hit that 200 supply mark, and it is just an absolute monster. Once it hits 200 supply, it will do nothing but attack. And now -0's got to try and make this defense happen. It does have charge lots, quite a number of them. However, they eat a fungal growth, followed up by a second fungal growth, and there's going to be a third. And do we have a fourth? Yes, we do. That is just absolutely brutal spellcaster usage by Eris.
Yeah. Oracle's joining the fight now, turning on their pulsar beams. 2 more cannons to finish, and a shield battery. Let's see if it gets overcharged. No, may not be built into the bot. Let's see.
There it goes.
Not many. Oh, yeah, very nice. Not many Hydras left here, so these Void Rays may actually be the saviors if he is able to hold here.
Yeah, the battery is actually programmed to heal up buildings like pylons, which is not something that it does by default. And -0, it's trying to hold on to this third base. It needs to hold on to this third base, but it's running probes away now as Eris is looking to break this location. We do have a Colossus being produced by -0, so that's going to be a great addition to its army, but it might not even really matter.
Sorry, he did so well at pulling the probes right at the right time to save them all, and then he warped probes into the base. I think that's his new update of doing the recall. It's like, oh, here's a base with no probes. I mean, we teleport all over.
It's not easy to program good logic with your bot. The Colossus just waltzes over some of those roaches and hydras, just the supply right now that there's no way Eris loses this game. Yeah, really, really well done by Eris.
Yeah, another overcharge going off. Yeah, Colossus is doing some work, that's for sure, but that is a 2 base -0, so it's hard to imagine if he does hold, how he would come back into it.
Yeah, it's just that Eris, like, it's going for something like an early Stalker attack against it is almost a waste, because you know it's going to react properly and make Lings.
Yeah, a little surprised. I mean, -0 is like known for having like that really good unit counters. So surprised that he saw so few roaches and stuck with Void Ray Mass Stalker. Maybe just his stalkers are so good that they end up being the best unit in every scenario for him.
Yeah,
Obviously, you can't micro zealots too much or something like that.
I think also once Eris gets ahead, it's very, very difficult for any bot to counter that. So yeah.
Yeah, -0's third was also a little bit delayed too, so that just puts you in a rather unwinnable position.
Yeah, that was a bit nasty there, but always a chance we can come back in game 2. We'll get that set up.
Yeah, I can imagine actually the late game things turning around a lot.
Oh yeah,
it's too bad he messed it up on that map. That's such a good map to kind of like turtle and go into the later game, Because yeah, once Protest gets those high tech units out, it's difficult for Zerg. Zerg guys are late game spellcasters, and that's about it.
Well,
You know.
that's exactly why I was sort of hoping to see maybe like 2-3 Colossus from -0, because like its unit control is just so darn good. Of course, it's not easy to get to that position, and Eris has great counters for everything, but it definitely would have better success than, say, Stalkers and moving out early on.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that a lot with every Protoss, actually, where like they die and their last unit is a Colossus that has like 47 kills on it or something. Once you get the ability to shoot at that far range, was a thermal lance.
Yeah.
And with bot micro, where you're staying at that maximum range, it basically means that Colossus is just never dying. It may not do much damage to like roaches and whatnot, but still, it's damage from a unit that's basically invulnerable. So, and then if you get 2 or 3 Colossus, yeah, that's all. And all of a sudden, it starts stacking up all that damage. So once again, we're going to see an early wall off at the natural for -0, as it's going to be taking that early expand. A little bit of an easier map for Eris to keep eyes on his opponent with that early Zergling. So I suspect Eris will have, be droning the appropriate amount and building the correct units to deal with whatever Eris -0 is doing this time.
Yeah, I just hope we see a bit of a different tactic by -0. It's not easy to pick a winning strategy against Eris. And -0 has definitely beaten Eris in games fairly recently.
Yeah, I actually got curious and I just looked it up myself, like how they're doing on the ladder. Obviously, their bots on the ladder might be very different than the bots we're seeing here. But on the ladder, it looks like... Yeah, it's pretty back and forth. I mean, Eris has won like 10 of the last 12 games, but before that, it looked like 50-50 between the two.
Oh, that's the thing. These guys are constantly updating their bots, so it's like it changes day by day, update by update.
Yeah. And they may not be putting their key updates on the ladder because there's a tournament going on right now, so...
That's true, yeah.
And I would also suspect if they have like a secret weapon, we won't even be seeing it in this series. They might be saving it for the finals.
Yeah. Well, because regardless of how today's matches goes, there's a reasonable chance we'll see these two guys later in the tournament.
Yeah, they're both getting through. Let's be serious.
Yeah,
it would be a shock if one of these guys hit 3 losses.
Oh man, that would be unreal. Yeah, it's just also like -0, the bot author, like their bot only recently came back to life, like this, and when the bots froze and stopped getting updates, like -0 hadn't received too many updates to bring it back. Like in fact, I think like -0 kind of came back, beat Eris, like in a couple of matches, and then Eris pushes an update, and then the tournament starts. So it's like
Interesting. And Team Eris has a few bots kind of on the go, so who knows how much effort they're putting into Eris. It must get like a little bit boring, I would think, once your bot has gotten to a level where no one's challenging them.
So... I think that's why they've put in, created the other bots, but like they're pretty active. Like you don't see a strategy win against Eris for long.
No.
Like they fix it pretty darn quickly. It's a point of pride, I imagine.
Yeah, and like I've said this before, it's almost easier once your bot is incredibly strong, because when someone figures out a build that beats you, that's like the only thing you have to work on. Where other bot authors are losing to like 100 different things. So when you're only losing to one thing, it's very easy to focus what to work on with your bot.
Okay, now we've got a Prism out on the map for -0 this time. That's interesting. And Eris says Eris against mass stalkers, which it's right. There's a few out for -0. So maybe that's what was like missing from the push last time, the Prism. Because did we see one in game number 1 with this push? We didn't. So like,
yeah,
-0 maybe having a way better push this time.
Yeah, he opened Stargate and had a couple Void Rays, so I don't think he went that route this time.
Yeah, it can just lift up these stalkers now and keep them safe from the lings, which is way, way better. And with -0's great micro, it can actually take on a reasonable number of lings. The rest of the stalkers are moving across the map.
Yeah, he's picked out the fresh creep tumor. He killed off
Yeah,
the queen as well.
There's the rest of the stalkers coming in for -0. They were a little bit late with this engagement, but yeah, like the fanning out on the stalkers is phenomenal. So that is a way better initial engagement for -0. Killed some lings, that kind of thing. I assume Eris does have a burrowed ling at the third, I'm guessing, of -0. Of course it does, because it's Eris. But we'll see whether it can get that up. And then yeah, it kills off the Overlord, so that's nice.
I do like how -0 is like sending out shades at all times, just
Yeah.
to give you a little bit of extra vision. It's kind of like having a built-in sensor tower at your base.
Yeah, it is very cool. The bot authors have made use of that. We see hallucinated Phoenix move out for -0, so wanting to get information on its opponent, but it does clean up that third base location. Gonna have to defend it immediately, though, as Eris tries to get in with its lings.
But much better composition versus a heavy lings flood, as he has like a bunch of adepts and zealots this time, rather than just pure stalker.
Yeah, -0 is going into charge rather quickly again. It sees all those lings.
Yeah, they're able to
Doesn't-
swing around. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Let's
not
see if he gets
great.
to the pylon. No, he's scared by the single zealot. He may actually find himself trapped in a corner here. Will he be able to find a way out? Will he even try to get out? Okay, there he goes.
That's one of the incredible things about -0. Like, it seems to have its units everywhere all at once. Like, it will be a bot that very much fights on multiple places on the map at once with the way that it sort of splits up its army and reinforces it. Now, it does have a robo on the way. Charge is about to finish up. I'm not sure how significant Charge is going to be. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll help catch some Hydras or something like that.
Yeah, will definitely help versus these speedlings that just randomly show up. Because, you know, whenever they want to retreat, they get to retreat. With Charge, you're guaranteed that one initial attack. Like right now, he would be killing off a few Zerglings.
Yeah,
if he
is
had
that,
Charge
is that
complete.
charge Okay, that charge was contaminated for a little bit, I think.
Oh,
Like,
interesting.
it froze on the production tab for a second.
Very nice.
Okay, Immortal getting surrounded by lings.
Ooh.
That's concerning. Is there a prism coming back to maybe help him save it? Doesn't look like it. So Eris actually gets a nice find with the lings.
Very nice.
I was just about to say that -0 has been doing a great job of sort of not letting any of its units get picked off, as it's rather active with its army, just sort of always moving it around. But that is the best find Eris has had so far. The Protoss is now looking to move out onto the map. It's got an observer, a prism, and Eris is thinking of building mutas.
Yeah, this could be a good timing. If Eris is transitioning into Mutas, then he may not be ready for this big flood of units.
I mean, there's quite a few
-0.
roaches and hydras, though.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's a lot. And -0 is getting out of there, as he should. Although the War Prism is under threat, so oh my goodness. Down to one hit's been dead.
The lack of Immortal might have changed -0's mind about taking that fight as well. It is adding in more Immortals, and I do believe it may have finished a Colossus now. We can check the production tab. Doesn't have one out. Or
Thermal Lance is on the card, so he's definitely at least thinking Colossus if he doesn't already
no
have one.
Colossus yet. Now -0 is taking a fight against Eris, trying to just hold on to this fourth base that it's building. But this is Eris just at its best. It's pushing in. It's at 200 supply, and now it's breaking the fourth base, so that's going to be canceled for -0. It's a nice high ground position for the Protoss, but it's fighting with 40 army supply against 102.
Yeah, he does have batteries on both sides, so it's a nice position, like you said.
Yeah, batteries and cannons. That gateway is being healed by the battery overcharge. -0, some of its units are kind of bogging up against that wall. We are seeing more Immortal production going on. This is something that -0 really likes, is mass Immortals. It's going up to its third robo right now, but it might not even live that long, as Eris is just pushing on in right now, and the backbone of -0 has kind of been broken as it loses its third. And
I thought that position might have worked out well for -0. He was kind of stuck in his main base, though, with a good portion of his army not able to attack. A few more of those units are at his third. I think he might have been able to hold. And unfortunately, not even able to get the observers in range, so these roaches are just never dying. Just burrowing and regenerating all the time.
Yeah, -0, like
choke going with the fungals, like, ouch.
-0 is such a darn good bot with its army control. Like, I'm confident that if it can get up to like 5, 6 immortals or have a Colossus or 2 in its army, it will start just butchering the army of Eris. It's even doing incredibly well on this defense right now, as the Colossus also pops out. A little bit of hot water with the padding, but it stays alive. Just right now, it's a 2-base Protoss against an Eris with the entire map, basically.
Yeah, 2 Colossus with Thermal Lance, though. I think he'll probably actually solidify this defense eventually.
Third
Again,
Colossus
though, it's
pops
2 base.
out.
I don't know if there's much of a follow-up, but I'm going to put my money on this holding.
Yeah, it's going to hold for a while, that's for sure. We're seeing Eris now transition, getting out some Corruptors, but -0 does survive to fight another day, perhaps. It cleans up the Ling at its 3rd base, so it's incredibly good redundancy as far as having the option to reach
We
them.
forgot about the mutas.
They did show up.
And now he's on, like, Colossus and Disruptors.
Yeah, that's not good. There's also Corruptors being added in by Eris too, so more air units being built. Is there Blink? There mustn't be Blink for -0, so...
I don't know if you'd even want to blink on top of those. He's definitely outnumbered in terms of the Stalkers versus Mutas right now. And the battery overcharge is done.
Yeah, no 3rd base being reestablished for -0, and it's just not going to be able to replace units quick enough with this composition. It's still got that incredible 3 Immortal, 3 Colossus comp that won't be easy for Eris to kill, but now there's Corruptors, there's Vipers,
Corruptors
there's
will change that.
Masters.
He will yoink them, I think, with the Vipers as well. But yeah, those Colossus are just basically, as I said, we're just killing everything and not dying. However, air attacks from Corruptors will do the trick. There they go. Nice try out of -0. He did put up a valiant hold, but yeah, that big first wave out of Eris couldn't be handled in either game 1 or game 2.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. How do you want to approach a game against Eris so you can get to that late game? But it's not an easy thing to do, and both bots really are incredible. But Eris is the top of the ladder, and it has just... I couldn't even imagine trying to program a bot that would take it on.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really get to see it here. I know -0 is really good with the Disruptor balls. Really, like, looks for center mass and tries to avoid his own units, so they get some work done sometimes.
Yeah.
He just needs to kind of get to the mid-game in a better state, because he's not able to kind of show what he does well, because he's getting slaughtered right as he's building into that tech, you know?
Yeah, like, it almost got there. Like, it had the Immortals and the Colossus, just it had taken too much damage prior to getting to that.
Yeah, but it lost his 3rd and Mutas were in the back of his face,
So, and like...
if it established the 4th, then like, made that tech, could have been different story, I guess.
Maybe it is something little, like changing from going charge prior to Colossus to making Colossus and Immortals before that. Anyway, well done.
Building Thermal Lance before the first Colossus, I think, was probably a mistake as well.
Yeah, really well done by Eris there. And like, I did like that the Broodlord showed up at the end just for a bit of like overkill as well. So but yeah, no, I think just the early game, and like I said before, once Eris gets ahead, it's very difficult for any bot.
And if -0 did get to the composition you wanted with the Colossus and Disruptors, Broodlords are really good against that.
Yes, they are.
So that's So maybe if -0 does have the perfect game, Eris still finds a way to roll him over. We'll have to see if when they meet again. If they meet again.
There's a very good chance they will meet again later in the tournament. But Eris will carry on to the round of 8. And let's have a look at where we stand on our tournament as we go. So let's have a look at the results.
So is it 2 bots out and 2 bots moving on? Is that what's happened so far? Okay, so we're down to...
We're down to
12 bots remaining?
12 bots remaining. obviously, Eris and Zozo both progressed to the quarterfinals. -0 and Xena will be in 2 and 1. We've lost Theo and Terrain. Bimbot's BC and 12 Ball Bot will move to 1 and 2. Meanwhile, in the top level bot, we have ThomTest, Caninana, Sharkbot, and SharpenedEdge. And in lower bracket, we also have DominionDog, MicroMachine, Ketrock, and OneTest. All right, so we're going to do a draw. As usual, we're going to rely on our bunnies in a tin. Where is my tin? It is right here. There's a cat on my thing as well. All right, so let's have a look at this. We don't need these 2 bunnies, so they will exit the tournament. This one and this one. Go out, because we only have 6 for each draw. So there is in here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I might have to actually turn off the blur, so you're going to see the absolute trash that is my room at the moment. But I will turn it off just for effect.
I can see the blur of the cat in the background.
Yeah, go on then. There we go. All right. Okay, so yes, you will see all of the bunnies in the tin there with 1 to 8. 1 to 6 on the thing. And
I'm pretty sure Crip has stayed in the scene this long just because he loves the bunny tin thing. It's his favorite part of the tournament.
It didn't come till later in the tournament.
It's all right. It's bunny time. Finally, we're here.
All right. So, let's have a look. And the first one we're going to pull out for draw 1. I will eat this one. It is going to be number 3. And wait a sec. So that will be ThomTest. We're going to have number 3. ThomTest will face.
All right, who's getting rushed?
Again. And it is number 2. Oh, -0. So that's going to be a fun one.
That's a rematch, isn't it?
No. -0 faced. I don't believe so, no.
I believe it's a rematch.
I think so. I remember talking about if ThomTest had Stim, it might work for
yes,
-0.
that might be a rematch, yeah. So next up.
Yeah, so that's an unfortunate draw for ThomTest.
We're going to have number 4, which is Caninana. And that will be facing number 1, Xena.
Okay, awesome.
Right. And
interesting. I think that's a good matchup for Caninana, probably. It's pretty solid in all matchups.
Number 5, Sharkbot. And it should be SharpenedEdge.
SharpenedEdge and their PvP.
So another PvP.
The battle of the frameworks.
Wow, yeah, there we go.
Sharpie versus Sharpie.
So I will just briefly write that down before we move on to the lower bracket draw. So it is top 0. So it will be Caninana versus Xena. And it will be Sharkbot versus... That's because I've got the Discord. Sorry, guys.
No problem.
All right, I'll put that back in a second. Apologies for that. All right. So then let's have a look at our lower bracket draw. And the lower bracket draw is DominionDog's number 1, MicroMachine number 2, Ketrock number 3, OneTest number 4, number 5 is 12. There's some nasty bots in there.
Group of 1 and 2 bots. You wouldn't think all these guys would be here.
There's some nasty draws in there for you, but I'll have a look.
Oh man.
Okay, and we are going with, to start off, number 5, 12 Cool Bot. And we will go up against number 3, Ketrock. Ooh.
3, Ketrock.
I hope you've got some defense for your 12
I will take that.
Yeah.
Nothing against 12 full bot, but I'm happy not to be facing Deadbot BC or DominionDog or MicroMachine.
Yeah, there are much much worse draws, I think.
One
One
test.
test.
And one test will go up against. Oops, what's that one? Number 2, which is MicroMachine.
Number 2, MicroMachine.
Okay.
So DominionDog Benbot. I
DominionDog
guess must be the last one.
will be number 6. Yeah, sorry. And the last one is number 1. So that concludes our draw. So I will just write this down. One sec. You have to excuse me for a moment. I will just be talking among yourself. Sorry, I won't send the screen black again. I will for a second, but it'll come back. There we go. All right. So yeah, so let's just write this down.
Yeah, it's getting good now. Both groups actually looked surprisingly strong. So yeah, whoever survives next week is going to have rough matches for the week after. That's for sure. It's only like strong bots remaining at this point. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean,
besides Zozo and Eris, who are so strong, they've already made it through.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like all the bots in the tournament at this point are pretty strong. So, you know, there's no easy draw, definitely.
No, there isn't, and just goes to show how developed the bot scene is that we've got such competitive matches and such incredible bots.
Yeah, definitely. So, just taking some time noting all these down.
Yeah, no problem.
It's difficult to do this under pressure.
No, we appreciate you doing it all on the fly.
So 12 bots remaining. That means 6 of them get knocked out in the next round, right? Or 6,
Yes.
well, 3 of them move on and 3 get knocked out in the
3
next
move
round.
on, 3 get knocked out, and then there's 3 games in.
So in the final round, there'll be
6 left.
6.
Yeah. And then that will be the last 3.
And they'll all be, the final 6 will be 2 and 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I like this format. That's interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it might be nice to get like a challenge log bracket set up to help track it or something, but
yeah, I can do that. So yeah, there we have it. That's the draw. Sorry for the slow response. So yeah, ThomTest v -0, Caninana, Xena, SharpenedEdge, and then in the lower bracket we have 12 Pullbot versus Ketrock, One Test versus MicroMachine, Benbot BC versus DominionDog.
Wait a minute. Someone in chat said, why is Xena there? Did we get Xena's record wrong somehow?
No, Xena lost to Zozo. Oh wait, no, sorry.
Xena was in the 2 and 1 bucket.
Yeah.
Is
So
he 2 and 1?
Yeah, see, Zozo beat Xena. Did they? That was correct, wasn't it?
no, Xena beat Zozo, I think, because they defended
Xena won
that
2-0 in
Zeller
the
Rush.
last stream.
Yes. Yes, sorry.
Should we just
Oh.
replace
Yeah, I
Swap
think
Xena and Zozo.
Zozo? Just plug in Zozo where Xena was, I guess?
yes, I think we should. Sorry, apologies for that,
Okay.
guys. Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. That could have gotten very
Yeah,
embarrassing.
good catch, whoever pointed
Yes.
that out.
Yeah. Apologies, guys. So we will replace Xena with Zozo. Yes.
Yeah.
So Xena facing Caninana, so it's gonna be Zozo Caninana. Oh,
Yeah.
another rematch then.
Oh yeah.
And that was a rematch that went well for
yeah.
Zozo last time, surprisingly.
Yeah. So that's
Loco
good.
Pollo says updates aren't until after the eliminations, right? So
Yes.
updates after.
Yeah, I think
when
this
we
whole
hit
Swiss
round
bracket
8.
finishes, and then we get an update.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's when we're down to the final 8, because eight bots make it through the
Yes.
Swiss format.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's about all we have time for anyway. So thank you very much for joining us, everyone, and thank you, Ketrock and Laughing Games, for coming along.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
There is a small
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, there is a small update to the schedule. Unfortunately, next Sunday I'm going to be pretty busy. So we've decided that we are going to do a Monday night stream. I hope it's not too disruptive for all of you, and I hope you don't mind waiting an extra day for it. That will be at 9:30 UTC on next Monday, the 24th. I do apologize for not doing the Sunday stream again, but I unfortunately have to be in a different place on Sunday. But both Ketrock and Laughing Games will be joining us, so thank you very much for coming along again.
Yep.
Yeah,
we will-
thank
It's
you for
5:30
organizing it.
Eastern time for those of you in North America.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think our viewers are probably mostly EU at this point.
Yeah.
I know our
Yeah,
authors
that-
are mostly EU. Yeah.
4.5 hours later than when we started today.
Yeah.
Yeah, big thanks to everyone for tuning in and hanging out and watching the games. Before you head out, just follow the Twitch channel, follow the YouTube, and yeah.
all your support is very much appreciated. So thanks everyone. Catch you next time.